Hey everyone, welcome back to another Monster Hunter Wilds video, and today we're diving into the latest community update regarding changes coming to the game pre-launch thanks to the feedback from the multiple beta periods, etc. So let's jump in. So we're going to start off with the performance tab on the website, which is on the official monsterhunter.com website. You can literally find the community update and they give you a full list of things that they're going to be changing. And as we can see here, we can actually see the target performance values for the full version of the game. And on PS5, if you're going for the graphics option, it's going to try to hit 30 frames at what is called like consumer 4K, so that's just fair enough. Now, when you go to prioritize frame rate, it's going to be basically like 1080p, and it's going to try to upscale to that like consumer 4K, and it's going to make sure that it hits 60 frames per second. Obviously, the frames will drop depending on how like much is going on screen, of course, so just be prepared for that. Then on the Xbox Series X, it's going to be targeting that 4K again, but at 30 frames if you're prioritizing the graphics. Then if you're going to be prioritizing frame rate, it's again the consumer 4K being scaled up from 1920 by 1080p, and that's going to be at 60 frames, of course. If you're on the Series S, however, it's going to be basically locked to 1080p, and it's going to be stuck at 30 frames. Now, obviously, if you're playing on Steam, this is going to depend on your own hardware and settings, so I would recommend checking out the Steam version system requirements, which you can actually just find on the website or actually on Steam. If you go to the website and you click on recommended specs, you can see here that if you want to play at 1080p with 60 frames, with frame generation enabled, because, you know, the game is very tough to run right now, you're going to be looking at getting these parts on screen here. So you've got an Intel Core i5-10400, a i3-12100, and even an AMD Ryzen 5 3600 with 16 gigabytes of RAM. You're also going to have a 2060 Super with 8 gigabytes of VRAM, or an AMD Radeon RX 6600 with 8 gigabytes of VRAM there as well. So you just need to be prepared that that's what you're looking for. If you want to play at a higher frame rate, like 1440p with 60 frames with frame generation enabled, you're going to be looking at a minimum basically of a 4060 Ti if you're with Nvidia, or a 6700 XT with AMD. Now from there, we also have a number of gameplay changes, which the first one is adjustment of hit stop / sound effect. So adjusting attacks to feel more weighty and impactful with a focus on big moves and finishes, which is going to be basically making the big heavy weapons feel like big heavy weapons. They're going to feel very satisfying to do damage with, which is just nice. Then we have mitigation of friendly fire. So friendly fire had already been mitigated for most weapon types in the open beta test. However, the full version will also include further mitigation of friendly fire for upswinging hammer attacks. I've seen some of you hammer bros like to fling your friends into the monsters, and that just seems to be taken out of the game now. Players will also be able to use the shock-proof jewel to nullify damage reactions, which is actually quite interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that works in the full game. Adjustment of frequency of monster area movement. Now for me, this is personally the biggest one, especially while everyone was trying to do the Arkveld fight within 20 minutes, because that douchebag would move across the map so many times. So they're adjusting the movement of the monsters, so it's more like in a similar frequency to Monster Hunter World. So if you played World, you're familiar with how many times and how much the monsters move. The game is now going to feel much more like that, which in general is just going to feel better for players because you don't have to travel across the map as often as in the beta. You'll also be able to then use the pop-up camps and fast travel in the full version as well to travel around the map and get to the monster quicker if it has moved to the opposite side of the map. Now there are a few changes as well to weapons. We're going to start with the Insect Glaive. They've added a vaulting dance to strengthen aerial action, so players can now combo into a variety of aerial actions after vaulting, and your aerial attack power will increase by 2 levels every time you do a vault as well, which is just pretty damn cool. They've also added an offset effect at the beginning of Descending Slash for your combos, which is going to be awesome. The Orange Extract effect now also negates knockback while your weapon is drawn. So you'll see like red, white, orange extract effects now also mitigates the wind pressure, tremors, and roars as well. So there you've got that for all of you Insect Glaive players out there. So then we also have the Lance, and the first bit here is that your charge counter will now allow you to guard while charging and can be changed into from any other move, which is just going to be great for Lance players. The Power Guard will now charge to higher levels more quickly when used to successfully defend against more powerful monster attacks. So that's cool. The more powerful the monster attacks, the higher your charge will then be, which is just very cool. And then also Perfect Guard and Power Guard can now be chained into a brand new move as well. Switch axe players, you are now looking at a bunch of different adjustments made so that switching to sword mode after building the axe mode gauge feels more satisfying, and if the game feels more satisfying, it just feels better to play, so that's great for you guys. Parameter improvements made to various moves, including full release slash, cool. Knockback is now negated when using full release slash, so that's also going to help with your combos. Then we have sword and shield, which is one of my favorites. Rising slash can now be used while guarding, that's kind of cool. Parameter improvements to various attacks, especially normal attacks and perfect rush, okay, I hear you. Improved the responsiveness of the mobile chop and side slash combo, as well as guard slash and perfect rush. That's actually going to be quite interesting to test out. And then we have improved evasion effectiveness of backstepping and sliding swipe, which is just great for sword and shield players. We also do have another tab here for other weapons. This is obviously the section where some of the weapons didn't get as many changes, so they didn't require their own sections. But we're starting off with the bow, which has actually become my favorite weapon during the open beta test, so I'm interested to see what they do here. Rebalancing the bow with increased attack power and responsiveness of moves such as normal attacks and arc shots, while toning down the power of tracer shots. Okay, that's going to be interesting to see because the tracer shots were absolutely really fun while using the bow. So I'd be curious to see how that affects using the bow, but I'm sure it's going to be fine. When targeting a monster with focus strike, multiple wounds are now locked onto one by one, with a brief delay in between rather than all at once. That just basically slows down your focus strike while using the bow, so I don't feel like that's going to be too much of an issue, honestly. Other weapons, general wide ranging adjustments to skills and elemental values to balance for full game content, including endgame. Now this is an interesting one that is coming beforehand because obviously we didn't really get a chance to test out different elemental versions of the weapons. We were just there with the base hope weapons during the open beta test. So this is going to be quite cool to, I guess, get our hands on the full game and test those stuff out. Overall adjustments to hit detection and low damage output compared to past Monster Hunter titles. Now that's a weird one, especially the adjustments to hit detection and low damage output. So we're going to have to see how that actually does affect the full game when it's fully out. But we don't have to wait too long because the game will be here on the 28th of Feb. So at the time of me releasing this video, we've only got less than 10 days to wait, which is just super exciting. But that's everything for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope this community update has you all excited for launch due to the incredible changes coming to the game. Let me know in the comments about how you feel about these changes, and also don't forget to like and subscribe for more Monster Hunter Wilds content in the future, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.